This is Crystal Cupcakes, and you're watching Models and Vixens.
Welcome to Brooklyn. I'll be cared at all, or I leave your face on the wall. Hi guys. Welcome to Brooklyn. Waiting on my photographer. He's late, but I'm on time. With my water. I won't be on here long because I'm out in the middle of nowhere and my phone's at like 70%. You know, live videos drain your battery. Anyway, so last night I did a lot of soul searching and I'm debating if I want to stay here or if I want to leave the city. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to say what I am going to do and then I don't do it. But a part of me is like, I want to go and I want to stay, you know? It's not easy being out here solo dolo. It's not easy not having a lot of connections and things not going the way when you want them to go the way you want them to go, you know? I'm still debating and I'm trying to see how long I want to be in this concrete jungle.
Hey yo, check it out everybody, this is Blake Caesar INC, and you're watching another episode of Models and Vixens. I got another beautiful guest. Baby girl light up the room. She came in smiling, makeup lit, you know what I'm saying? Beautiful woman. Hey yo, state your name, baby.
Hello, this is Rizzo Denise.
Rizzo Denise, what's going on?
Nothing much, working in this rain.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was, this Labor Day was soaking wet.
It was. But we did get a photo shoot in, so that's awesome. That's what
dope.
Hard work does.
Yes.
We made it work for Labor Day.
Yes, we did.
And I can't wait to see the pictures. I know we did amazing.
Hey, yo, one of the things that stands out to me, right, when I saw your name, right, when I first contacted you, the name Rizzo stood out to me. Mm-hmm. Where did that come from?
When I was 6 or 7, my mother allowed me and my siblings to go visit my aunt for the summer. And during that time, you know, we had to stay in the house because we were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We couldn't go out while my aunt was at work. So she had a bunch of movies lined up, and my sister and I, we would just pick them out and watch them for the whole day. So she picked one out, Grease. Never seen it before. The cover looked old. Because mind you, this was probably in the 90s, and I believe the movie came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
So my sister just picked it, and we watched it, and my favorite character on there was Rizzo.
That's what's up.
And up to this day, I still love her. Because to me, she exuded a character that she was popular, but people still talked behind her back. She had a lot of haters in high school, and she went through a pregnancy. Like, she went through some real stuff. And at the end of the movie, she held her head up high, and I just admired that. So that's just the name that I go by in the modeling industry.
Word. So it's Rizzo Denise.
Rizzo Denise, yes.
Denise is your...
That's my middle name.
That's your middle name. Mm-hmm. That's what's up.
And I kept that because my mother and I have the same middle name.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
Yo, you know, in entertainment, especially when it comes to, you know, black entertainment, black excellence, if you will, mm-hmm. I noticed that there's a lot of references or a lot of names that go back towards, like, history, right?
Yes.
Like, you know, obviously, like, my stage name, Blake Caesar. So it's like there's a lot of history that goes back in black entertainment. Why do you think that is?
Because we're kings and queens. I think dope. That if we had the opportunity to really have our history on the American platform, Hollywood, it would motivate so many people, and it would be very phenomenal to watch. I just love the names that we have.
Muhammad Ali is one that stands out to me. I think that's amazing.
Right.
And he just, as he got more famous, he didn't care what nobody thought about him. And even though he didn't wear a crown, he was a king. He was so proud of his skin. He was so proud of who he was. He was his biggest fan. And I think that's why our names are so powerful in our community. Farrakhan, like, who can forget that name?
Right, right.
That's deep.
Right.
And he's still very, very popular amongst the black community. Even ones that have like the plain, I like to say, like the one who was the leader in the Black Panther Party, Huey Newton.
You getting deep for us, huh?
He was he stays in my mind because of what he represented. He was a king.
Right.
So our names are very powerful, in my opinion, in our community. Nipsey Hussle, his stage name's that, but his real name Ermias,
right,
meaning God will rise.
Right.
I mean, that's deep. So,
who is your, favorite models or models in your mind that stand out?
My all-time favorite is Grace Jones.
Right.
I think she is, to this day, a queen. She's beautiful. And I love real. I love people who don't care what anybody thinks about them, and they keep continuing to do them. And I remember I saw her in an interview back in like the 80s, I think, and they would just dog her, in my opinion. They'll say like slick stuff to her, and she just kept smiling, and I know she would catch it, but she wouldn't allow them to bring her on that level. She just kept on with her interviews. And she did one interview with a guy, and he was just asking her basic questions, and she would react like, okay, yeah. Like, he asked her, does she like women? And she said, how could I not? I am a woman. I think what you like is your choice, and if it comes down to having to like something, you're gonna pick it. And he said, what did you mean by that? And she said, well, if you're very hungry and there was a cockroach laying around, wouldn't you eat it? And it kind of made him stumble upon that, because he had to really think. He couldn't say no, because if he said no, that would be dumb of him to say.
Right.
So Grace Jones is not only one of my favorite model, but she is also one of my idols, because she didn't care. And it's hard to be black, period, in America, but to get to the point that she did music too. And she was with Wilhelmina, and they didn't really, I don't want to say they didn't do much for her, but she didn't get as far with Wilhelmina, so she went to Paris, and she still did modeling there. She just kept pushing and kept doing her. So from her music to acting to modeling, she's just an all-around talent, and she's just beautiful to me. She's androgynous. She just breaks the ceilings. Plain Jane. I didn't even buy this jacket. My friend gave this jacket to me because he owed me money, but he's broke. So we had an exchange of words, and we decided that he'd give me this North Face, and we are even, which now we are. And it came with a couple of gifts. He forgot his headphones in here. He forgot a lighter. So good. You ready?
Okay.
Bye. Okay, I'll tell her. Seems like he wants to be a little more than a friend.
Want 2 more wives?
Yeah, I see.
On the way having a long conversation about the different things that you do. Along with your modeling, you wrote a book.
I did.
Just tell the people what the title of that book was.
The book is called Wrath of a Scorned Past by Rizzo Denise. You can get it on Amazon, Books A Million, I believe, too. And I did that 3 years ago in 2017, and it's about a woman who suffers from traumatic issues of her past, and she tries to get over it when she meets a guy that is one of her customers at her diner. And when you read the book, you'll see how she becomes more strong after getting to know this man.
Right. Question about it. Why? How did you come up with that title?
Well, the character Tanisha, the trauma that she goes through, it's very, very scary for some people. Some people probably couldn't survive what she's been through. She dealt with it at a young age, and as she got older, it stopped happening. The abuse she was dealing with, but it was still in her mind. So I think your average person will probably kill themselves. They may retaliate to other people to try to get that anger out that they dealt with when they were younger. But with Tanisha, she still holds it in, and she's still a good person, but it's hitting her, that wrath of what she dealt with.
So that's why you named it that.
Right.
That's dope. How long did it take you to make that?
4 years. 4 years. It took a long time.
For somebody who doesn't know anything about writing a book, right? They would probably ask, how does it take you 4 years to actually publish something?
Rizzo can get distracted here and there. Life, I didn't have my life just revolved around the book at the time. It was my first book, so I was learning how to develop characters, how to create scenes, how to make the story run smoothly into the next character, into the next chapter, make sure the editing's on point, make sure the illustration's on point, because when I finished the book, on the back it's drawings. So I wanted everything to just come together. It's like a puzzle, and the paper is my canvas, and it takes time if you want it to be good. Like Titanic took the director 10 years just to make that movie, and then it took him another 10 years just to make Avatar. So if you want something done really, really well, it's gonna take time.
So you kind of edited the movie. Maybe I'm saying something. But you edited the book while you were writing the book.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's deep. Because, when you think about some work, obviously, like you said, some people are different. But editing something while you're doing it, I can see why. You know what I'm saying? Every little thing has to be correct. Now, that's your only book.
Right. For now, yes.
For now. Now, writing, first of all, when you write, do you have to be good at English? Number one.
That's a good question. Yeah. It depends on the storyline and the tempo that you want to have to your audience. If you're doing
that's dope what you just said. You just said tempo. Explain that word and then go into what you was just about to say.
Well, like, say if you're doing a story in the hood, you're not going to talk like me, because that's just not realistic. You're not going to have a lot of people that sound like how I sound. I sound like somebody that's in the suburbs. So my tempo is going to be different from somebody's tempo in the hood. So it doesn't have to be letters or words that are fully written out, because we have slang in those areas.
Right.
But if you're writing a book about the presidency, you're going to have to be very careful about what you say and how you say it, because the terms are different.
Right.
In your basic society. So it just depends on where the setting is, what you're talking about. That really matters. You don't have to have a PhD in writing to make a story. As long as you have heart and you know what you're talking about, you're going to grab your audience. because people aren't going to want to read something. They're like, this isn't realistic. That is not what happens at night over here in Cascade. I live over there. Or this isn't realistic. I worked in the White House. We don't do this. Just know what you're talking about, and you'll have a good following.
So now let's go on to the question I said, do you have to be good at English?
I don't think so. No. Like English, you're talking about like having a degree, or you're talking about just articulating?
I mean, like, when I say English, I mean, do you have to be good at writing a composition, or writing and punctuating and stuff like that, commas and, parentheses, if you will, and stuff like that?
If you're going to publish, yes. Yes, because that's how a person, I'll say for me, when I'm reading something and it's not punctuated correctly, I can't paint the picture right in my head. You can have somebody who is dying and they may be talking slow or talking in a pace where it's not the same if somebody's happy. So if you're writing and you have a run-on sentence and someone's sick, it doesn't really make sense.
Right.
So you do want to make sure that you have your commas in the right area, the quotation marks in the right area, explanation points, things like that.
So I mean, I would say that you would have to be good at, those type of things, right? To be able to, right?
Absolutely.
Now, you are originally from Mobile, Alabama.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
But you describe yourself, I think, on your Instagram page as being from Alabama and New York.
Yes.
Explain that real quick.
I was born in Ithaca, New York. That's where I came out the womb. And after I hit 6, me and my family moved to Mobile, Alabama. We had more family there, and my father passed, so my mom thought it would be a better idea to be more around the family, so we did that. After about 2 years, I really wanted to go back to New York. I just felt more of myself there. So my grandmother was like, okay, yeah, you can come live with us, because her and my grandfather were still living in the city. Went back up there for 2 years, did 2 years of school there. Then I guess just the universe was like, you need to stay in Mobile, because my grandparents ended up retiring, and where did they want to go to? Mobile. So they came down, and I've been there for about an extra 12 years. That's where I got everything, my driver's license, lived my life. Then recently, I just wanted to come back up here. I wanted to move. I wanted to be somewhere different. I wanted to build. And I felt like I could really build myself in the city. So that's kind of how my life went when it came to Mobile and New York.
That's dope. A reason why I asked you that is because, a writer is, first of all, I'm going to ask you, there's so many questions coming to my mind, people.
I love it. I love it. I love conversation. I'm a Gemini.
First of all, I want to ask you, when did you know that you wanted to be a writer? And when did you know that you loved it?
I have to say when I first moved to Mobile, because I didn't feel like I belonged there. The culture was so different. The area that we moved to was very religious as opposed to Ithaca where I was at. So coming from more so of I don't want to use that word, but a non-religious city to a religious city, there was people who already had their friends too from the year prior in school. Because I left after 3rd grade and went to 4th grade in Mobile, so I just felt out of place. I didn't know anybody. My accent was different. Even the words yes ma'am, no ma'am is law there. So if you don't say that, they're gonna look at you like you're an animal, like what are you doing? So I had to pick up and learn fast within a few months because I was going to school. When I got to Mobile, I didn't have a lot of friends, so I just started doing things that I knew made me comfortable and doing things that I like, that I can express myself. And I started writing. So I would do little stories of my siblings, basic stuff like I made a book about all 3 of them being aliens, and I just talked about their different traits Like my older brother being the hard one, and then my second oldest being kind of the quiet one, and then my sister being like the creative one, and just a little short story like that. But I liked the work that I put in because I started getting attention from my teachers from it. And then ever since then, it went from short stories to poems, and then eventually in 2017, the book. So it's always good to have more things that you like to do, and I love to write, even if I don't do the modeling full time, which that's the goal, of course. I'm gonna continue to always write, always put out some type of work in that field.
Real quick, I think you had mentioned that you had wrote your first book when you was, how old? You was in grade school.
Yes.
And it never got published or something to that effect.
Right, kind of. That one was an assignment, so I didn't do that free will, but it was my first book. That one was the one about the aliens, and that, I believe I was in the 7th grade when I did that. Our teacher, she somehow had some type of connections with the publisher, because she wanted us to write a story. We had to give it to her, and a week later she sent us the copy back, and it was hardback. And I was just blown away. It was so popular that the principal came in the day that we got the books, and he was like, wow, like, what is this? How did you do this? So they start talking, and he had us line up outside of the classroom, and he just took pictures with us with our books. And I thought that was pretty cool too, how she did it.
What do you have in common with a journalist?
That's a good question. I can't say much, because journalists, I feel they have to find information, make sure it's factual, and present it to their audience. I'm not really in that field. I know that's a whole nother ball game, especially the factual part. But I would say maybe the writing. They do have to write in their job, but I'm not close to a journalist.
Who's your favorite writer, or do you have one?
I really love Maya Angelou. I like her poems. I liked how she defined a woman, and I liked her backstory of what she had went through as a writer. I like John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath. He's motivated me for doing Wrath of A Scorned Past. That's where I got the Wrath from. And when I read that book, I really liked how he put his story together. That was a masterpiece. He talked about, I'm sure you've read the book. If you haven't, it's about this family who had to move to California because of the Great Depression. And in chapters, it's like a movie. Like when it first starts, he's talking about somebody on a truck, and then it skips scenes to a lady in a diner. But how he did it, it wasn't glitchy. It was so smooth. In the ending of the book, it was kind of I like to say a tragedy, how he ended it. How he had the female give breast milk to one of the guys because there was no food around. That's how bad it was. So it was just deep. It was real, and that's a book I can read more than once. So he's one of my favorites for sure.
You having fun?
Yeah.
You ain't think of doing a photo shoot where you can ride shit?
Right. I never got on this before.
Hey, yo, don't fall, because I got you on film. Alright, yo, I think we could get something right there over there.
In the workout area?
Yeah.
Alright. As long as I'm not sitting. You know it's wet.
Take a picture right there.
Where? Right here?
Yeah. This is gonna look dope right here.
In my mind, when you ask me that, I'm thinking futuristic, like Tron. I would love to do some type of glow suit shoot. I think that would be so dope and different. I love powerful shootings. I always had this vision of doing a photo shoot as a god, but maybe like a female Grim Reaper, where my eyes are just black and I have on this purple dress, but it's flying in the background and it's raining. Kind of like some Mortal Kombat type of shit. I would love to do something like that because it's different, but yet I'm visualizing still a sexy woman. Beyonce's Spirit video really inspired me. I love that, from the colors to the whole sisterhood thing she had going on to the unity in the video. I would love to do something like that. I would love to do 2 shoots, maybe like me and a guy. We'll do like a perfume photo shoot. I think that would be sexy. So things very elegant like that, exotic, powerful.
How important is it to you to get your work published?
It's very important. That's bread and butter. You know, I need my food. I'm hungry.
Right. Now, but now you had told me that you write. And,
I do.
And I think I was saying this before, where I would like to see a little bit more writing in some publications.
Yes, we talked about that.
How important is that, in your opinion?
I think it's very important, Blake, because I think writing is something we overlook, because it's just like with speaking, it's just we do it so much. But when you open up a magazine and the writing's choppy or doesn't make sense, it's going to turn you off. And you might close the book or just start looking at the pictures. So when you have writing that flows, that's smooth, that gets the imagination going and cranking, you're going to want more. And you may even buy a product. When you pick up dog food and it says something along the lines like it has vitamins A, C, and E in it, that's versus something that doesn't have any type of reading on it. You're going to be like, is this good for my dog?
Right.
So it's very important to have the right wording in anything. Because
you know, even in the model business, there's so much to know, and you know, knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
You know what I mean? So I would definitely, you know, holla at me, man. For you magazines out there, man, you know, holla at Models and Vixens. What other talent you got that other people maybe don't know about?
I love to do makeup. I believe 99% of all my photo shoots that you'll see if you look at my page on Instagram, I've done all my own makeup. I love to do makeup. I think it's so much art behind it that some people might overlook.
Right.
You can really change your whole image with makeup.
Right.
That's definitely a talent
because
that I have.
and they could what's the word? They can what's the word, y'all? They can emphasize certain areas, right?
Yep. Yes. Contour, make certain features look more softer. Some stand out more. I'm not on that level where I can make myself look like Mike Tyson. Like when you see on YouTube how some makeup artists, they really are into it. Like they can change their whole face and look like a celebrity. I'm just talking about enhancing what I have.
Right.
I don't like to be as dramatic as I used to in the past. I used to love to do heavy eyeshadows, and I used to love to do the false eyelashes. And I think it's still beautiful, but it's just not my style as I'm getting older.
Right.
But I do love to do makeup, and I still love to tweak certain things to enhance my features. So that's a talent that I'm proud of.
Have you went to school after high school?
I did. I got my associate's degree in the medical field, which is weird. Yes.
What was it?
Medical assistant.
Isn't that like medical billing or?
It kind of, yes, I took class in that when I got my medical assistant's degree. But medical assistant's like when you go to the hospital and you have to first sit down with that. People might think it's a nurse, but you sit down with someone and they ask you, what are you in here for today?
Right.
Okay, you hurt your arm. How long has it been hurting? Are you taking anything? That's what I would have done if I still would have stayed in the field, checking blood pressure. If the doctor asks that person to run any tests, x-rays, pulling blood specimens, urinalysis. That's what a medical assistant does.
That's hot.
Yeah.
That's hot, man. It gets you prepared. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I like it wherein, you know, like this world of fashion is so, it's worldwide. And sometimes you have to be able to understand other people's perspective on things. Mm-hmm. You know, and like I always say, like, you know, being like having a bubble in fashion is no good when you can't see other people's fashion as well.
It's true.
What's some new fashion that you haven't, you know, keeping your eye on lately?
Well, for me, I don't know if it's new. I don't know if it's new.
All right.
But since I came from Alabama, coming to New York, definitely a lot of like baby hair, that style. Mm-hmm. A lot of women love to do that here. The big hoops, I've noticed that you wear that in different parts of the world, but that's like the thing in the city. And I like that. I think it's real cute. To me, it's trying to keep the focus on the face. It's not really trying to promote the product. You're promoting the person. So I do like to try to experience with those. I'm a simple female. I like basic things, and anything as small as like red lipstick or black eyeliner, like just having like the little cat curl at the end of the eye. I think that's really attractive and real dope. I'm not really one to really need to do too much, too big. I love natural and classy on a woman. I went to Brooklyn off of Rockaway Avenue and got my hair done.
Do you always get your hair braided?
Not all the time. I like to change up my style. That's the way I like to express myself. But braiding is definitely one of the things I do like to go to when it comes to switching up a little bit. The style that you see now, I got this inspired off of Pinterest. It wasn't my idea, but the woman who braided my hair, she thought of her own design as far as the cornrows. So they're a good place too. It's off of Rockaway in Brooklyn, and I recommend you go there. The people are really, really nice too.
How long did it take you to get your hair braided?
She took about 4 hours to get it done, which isn't bad. And I love too, another thing I forgot to say, that I like how the women, they put the product on the hair after. It's not just they're braiding and I'm out. You know, they make sure it does look nice and shiny. She put gel on it for me, and she let me sit under the dryer to let it dry out. You know, so. Yes, they're all good there. They're good.
You was a good guest, man.
Thank you, Blake, for having me on your show.
Yes, it was dope, man. Very informative for the people, you know? So, yo, check it out, everybody. This is Blake Caesar, INC, and I'm chilling here with Rizzo Denise in the building, y'all. Hey, yo, check it out. We up out of here. Come on.